What is up, guys and gals? This is Brandon back with another episode of Brandon Coin, and on this video I'm just going to be going back over my GTX 1050 rig because a lot of people have a lot of questions. When I originally built this rig over a month ago, the profitability rates were a lot higher than what they are now. So a lot of people are like asking, is it still that same return on investment? And in the world of crypto, the first thing I've learned is nothing stays the same. So this is going to be somewhat of a rig update, and I'm going to start doing this on like dedicated rigs, like say if it's a 1060 rig or a 1050 rig or a RX 560, RX 570, and vice versa. So that way, in the particular month, somebody will know what that kind of rig would make. And I'm also going to include the electricity cost and how I calculated the electricity cost, because everybody seems to ask me, what's your electricity cost and how do you calculate it? Obviously, everybody's electricity cost is a little bit different, so I'll include the formula, which is really simple to figure out, so that way you guys can figure out how much electricity it's costing y'all too. So let's jump over here and I'm going to walk you around the GTX 1050 2GB rig. Alright, this is currently how the rig sits. This is a H110 D3A motherboard. The motherboard natively supports 6 graphics cards. That's 1x16 slot and 5x1 slots. But for right now, I have one of my PCI Express X1 slots used up for a wireless card. I am going to be moving this rig, and hopefully my office will be up and running soon, so that way I can take this out, run LAN or Ethernet cable, and then add a 6th card in here. Because I want to keep consistent and do 6 card builds, but for right now 5 is definitely profitable, and I'll get into that here in a second. As for a power supply, I'm running an EVGA 500 watt bronze power supply. That's more than enough for 5 of these 1050s. I have 4 gigabytes of DDR3, and my processor is a G4400 Pentium. That's a dual core processor, and it's all running on a 60 gigabyte solid state drive. And I have this system running on Windows 7 currently. And more specifically, the graphics cards that I used were the Gigabyte dual fan overclock models. And just to reiterate, these are the GTX 1050 2GB. These are non-TIs. They don't require external power. They only require the power from the actual riser. And if you're not familiar with how the risers are set up, the riser gets a USB cable that goes down and around and plugs into the little adapter slot that goes into the PCI Express slot, and then it gets power from also Molex cables, or sometimes there's 6-pin cables on the back of the risers. But I think I try to use all Molex cables, and I use version 006 risers. I've only had like 1 out of maybe 20 actually go bad. So now let's jump over to the actual system and see what it's making. Sorry to actually record the screen with my camera. For some reason my main desktop, I'm having to wipe it. So my Chrome remote desktop, that's how I connect to it, and that's where my screen recording software is. And currently right now I'm putting a new copy of Windows on it. So I'm limited to actually just recording with my camera at the moment. So I do apologize. But right now we are running at 794 sols on Equihash. It seems like these cards really like Equihash or Lyra 2Rev. It's like the 2 most common algorithms that it mines. And if we break it down, 790, we'll just round it up to 5 divided by 5. That's almost 160 sols per card, which is not bad at all. Right now, at the current profitability rate, that equals out to about $4.50. So that's a little under $1 a card. Let's do the math on that. I'm going to clear that off. 4.50 divided by 5. It's 90 cents per card at the moment. So not great, not anywhere near what we were getting with these things, even a month ago. Because these things were getting close to almost $10 a day. They're steady. So this was kind of a heat of the moment build, and it made a lot of sense at the moment. Right now it's still profitable though, and we'll see how much energy it's actually burning here in a second. Alright guys, well, for calculating your electricity cost, there is applications that you can install on your actual computer that'll tell you how much each card is burning. But to get a true cost, because your processor is going to suck up a little bit, you're going to lose a little bit through a mechanical hard drive, not so much through a solid state drive, but you're going to have other small parasitic power draws. So I featured this in one of my last videos, or maybe 2 videos ago. It's a kilowatt meter. I'll try to make sure and find and put the link for that down below in the description. I do have an Amazon affiliate service, so if you buy it through my link, it helps me out a little bit. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it keeps the world moving. So yeah, this is the kilowatt P3 model, and after looking at it on the back, it is actually rated for, well, will it focus? There it goes. It's rated for 15 amps, so that's right at 1800 watts. So this will handle a big system for testing purposes. And if you look on the front of it, right here, you got some different buttons. Let's see if it'll actually zoom in on that. The one you want to look at is the one that says watts right there. So after you plug, come on, there we go, autofocus. After you plug this into the wall right here with this end, then you're going to plug your power strip into this side, and off of my power strip I have my I'm going to have my system, and for right now I'm not going to put the monitor on that. I'm just going to have the actual rig, because all, you know, monitors are not all created equally, so your monitor might burn less. And I normally don't keep a monitor plugged in or running on all my systems, because I normally just remote connect to them. So let me go ahead and plug that in, and we'll be right back. Alright, so first things first, when you first plug in your kilowatt, then plug in your system, it's gonna be on the volts setting. You're gonna switch it over to watts right here in the middle, and right now it's pulling 35 watts from the wall, and that's watts per hour is how it's rated. And the system is just on and idling at the moment, so that's a good base standard. I'm going to go ahead and load up my settings in Msi Afterburner, and I'll show you how I'm doing that with these 1050s. Not all graphics cards are created equally, so yours may like a little bit more or a little bit less. But I go ahead and I have mine all synced together. I don't try to find the best for each particular one, because I try to keep my overclocks pretty safe. I pull my power down to 90% on these, core clock up to 150, and memory clock right up to 200. Okay. In the beginning, I was trying to just get these with the sliders with the mouse. You can actually, once you click on it, you can use the arrow keys to fine tune it up and down 1 or 2. Just as one of the little tips and tricks that seems like I always forget to tell people. And I normally have my fan somewhere around 70. Then I lock it in, and we'll go ahead and load up NiceHash Miner Legacy. The only reason I'm actually using NiceHash Miner Legacy on this system is, for some reason, when I was downloading NiceHash Miner 2, I had an issue and the installation got corrupted. I tried to uninstall it and reinstall it, and then I also tried to restore it back to an earlier point. And every time I load up NiceHash Miner 2, this is the current version also, it just comes up with a white box. So I don't know why that is. It doesn't like it, so I'm not fighting it. NiceHash Miner Legacy still is very profitable to actually mine on. And if you have AMD cards, it's the only thing you can mine on. I also do have the NVIDIA set P0 state. So if you want to know how to set that, you go into your settings, then you go right here, set NVIDIA P0 state. And the brief explanation: when checked, NiceHash Miner Legacy will change all supported NVIDIA GPUs to P0 state. This will slightly increase performance on certain algorithms. This feature needs administrator privileges to be activated. The way somebody's explained that to me is NVIDIA has a 4 compute mode that the cards can go into, and that's what P0 state is. If you'll notice, I have all 5 cards checked that they're going to be running and I do not mine with this G4400. The Pentium processor is not profitable to mine on. So let's go ahead and start that and let it ramp up. Looks like, yep, it jumped straight to Equihash. This Equihash is probably the most profitable for these cards right now. It has been for the last couple weeks. Every now and then it'll jump over to NIST 5 or Lyra 2 Rev, but Equihash is a pretty safe bet. Let's see, we're getting 775 sols. Looks like all the cards are running pretty decent. Okay, we're creeping up a little bit more. 777. What were we at before? We were at right at like 159 times 6 or times 5. So we were at 795 sols. So we were at a little bit higher performance, but it slowly does ramp up over time, I've noticed. Let's go ahead and check our power. Our power draw is 375 watts. That is for the entire system. If you look, this cord goes into the power supply. And now I'll get back with you and show you how the actual breakdown on that is, so you can calculate your costs. I did also want to show, if you leave your power limit on 100% on 5 cards from the last reading, I just clicked apply on it and it makes your power go up to 434. Alright guys, so just checking back in. I got my main system, my system for streaming back up and running. And this is actually how to figure out true profitability on the GTX 1050. Actually, this applies to just about any other graphics card out there. So we'll start off with the formula for power costs right here. This is the way I do it. It's not necessarily the best way, it's not necessarily the worst way, it's just a way that works for me. So originally you take your watts, that was what we measured out of the wall with the kilowatt meter, that was 375, and you divide by 1,000. So when we do that, we have 375 divided by 1,000 equals 0.375. Then that gives you your kilowatts. That's the 0.375. So for every hour we burn 0.375 of a kilowatt. Then the next step is to get your kilowatt hours multiplied by 24. See, my cat's getting in the way of the camera. To equal out a full day of usage for your system. So you take 0.375 multiplied by 24 equals 9 kilowatt hours for a full day. After you have your full day, you take the full day of kilowatt hours multiplied by the per kilowatt price. So I have 9 kilowatt hours and I multiply by 0.09, so that's 9 cents US, and then I equal out to my cost for a full day of running my system is 0.81, so right at 81 cents. Now to figure out your true profitability, you come over here and you take your profit and minus the costs. So my profit, what we were making in there, was right under $4.50 a day. Take away 81 cents and you're left with $3.69 a day. And that's not great by any means. When we were up near $10 a day, this system was making a lot more money, but it still is profitable. I mean, you know, that's like $4 a day just for letting it run. And these cards run stone cold. I mean, these things barely get up past the low 60s on, you know, very, very conservative fan curves. So I absolutely think these are not bad cards to invest in. And if the market gets better, these cards only get better, because this is probably the worst it's been since I've been mining in the last 3 to 4 months. It's absolutely been the worst it's been. So if it can only get better from here, I actually recommend these cards, and I'm going to be buying more of these to basically be as fillers. If I can't find, you know, 1060s or 1070s for good prices, I'll grab me some 1050s. Or if I can't afford to get, you know, a $500 1070 right now, you know, I might buy me a $120 or $130 1050. And just a note, if you want to figure out your return on investment at your current rate, I bought these at around $129.99. So I have right at $650 for all 5 of my video cards. You take that $650 and you divide it by your actual profit, which is $369 a day. So if you take 650 divided by 3.69, that gives you 176 days. But I've already made, a significant amount more, because for the first month this rig was actually making like $9 to $10 a day, sometimes spiking up to 12. So that's not a true representation on return on investment. That's just gives you a rough idea of if the rate stayed the same. But one thing, like I said, crypto never stays the same. This system could go up to making $6 a day tomorrow. So let's actually just run a little test here. My cat is all in the way of the camera. Sorry about that. Actually, let's do a test at $6 a day. So you have your $6, and we're going to take away 81 cents. You're left with $5.19. Let's take our 650 divided by 519. Gets it down to 125 day payoff. So just making $1.50 more a day on the whole system, which is absolutely within the swing. Like, it swings up and down $1 all the time. It cuts off 50 days on your return on investment. So, I mean, this, absolutely, I recommend these cards. Right now, these cards can mine Equihash, Lyra 2 Rev, NIST 5, I believe Kryptonite, and there's a couple others. But it's got algorithms that it can readily mine. It cannot mine the bigger DAG files, like the 4 GB cards and up can mine, like your Ethereums and your Decred and stuff like that. But these are what I would call short-term cards. You try to get them paid off in 3 to 4 months. Anywhere in that 100 to 150 day return on investment is a good buy. I recommend it, and that's actually what I shoot for. If I can get it under 100 day return on investment, absolutely buy it. So yeah, that's what it looks like for February's profitability on the GTX 1050 2 gigabytes. If you like this little series, I can continue it on, and I can actually go through and do my 1060 rig, and I could probably just update it every month, because I imagine this is probably going to be swinging wildly until the market actually settles down. And as for crypto, it may never settle down. So it's been the wild west ever since I started. So yeah. Comment down below if you have any GTX 1052 gigabytes. Let me know how your systems are doing, what you've made off of them, what you like or don't like about them. I'll put the link for the kilowatt meter down below. And I was actually looking, and I've only found some 1052 gigabytes from MSI for $139. They were on pre-order. I'll put those down below if you want to check them out and maybe grab one. Try to stay away from 1052 gigs anywhere above that $140 range. I don't recommend them. If maybe $150 if you can't find anything else. But really, these cards, MSRP on these cards are $119. So they definitely are inflated. I hate to pay more than $40 or $50 over MSRP. So $129, that's perfect. $10 more, not a big deal. $139, you're stretching it. Anything above $150, don't even look at it. It drags out your return on investment up over 200 days, even if we are making a good amount of money. So thank you guys. I do appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.